Morning, everybody. Tag somebody. We're going to start in a minute. I'm grabbing my coffee, okay? How's everybody? Good morning. Y'all need to clap y'all hands. Is that what you need to do? It's cold out there, y'all. What's up, fam? Good morning, everyone. How's everybody doing? Got a quick little coffee chat today. Good morning, good morning. Grab your Java. Come on, let's clap our hands a little bit, y'all. Tag somebody, tell them to come on and get on. Come on. Come on, y'all, wait. Come on, clap your hands at home. The king, so that we can stand and fight against the enemy. Weapons being formed, but won't succeed. Lord, declare the victory. Come on, you have victory. Lord, tell the stories. By His grace, we are walking testimonies. For thine is the kingdom and the glory. And we'll praise you, Lord, forever, because you're holy. Lord, the king, so that we can stand and fight against the enemy. The weapons of the form, but won't succeed. We already declare the victory. In the name of the Lord, tell the stories. By His grace, we are walking testimonies. For thine is the kingdom and the glory. And because you're holy. Come on, anybody here victorious today? Come on. We're going to jump on in, y'all. Good morning, family. Good morning, family. Come on, tag somebody. Tag somebody. We're about to jump on in. I was walking the dog this morning. I was like, whoo, it's cold out here. My eyes were watering, y'all. But it's all right. So tag somebody. It's going to be a coffee chat. We'll probably be on here, I don't know, 20, 30 minutes at the most. Want to share a word of scripture that's been in my heart. The Lord is kind of dealing with me about. Let you know kind of where we're headed, what's about to happen, what is happening, nothing but good stuff. And I want to check in on y'all. So let us know you're okay. Let us know what city you're coming, logging in from, or what community you're logging in from. We just want to know family's okay, all right? And just in about 2 minutes, we'll get started. Share this with somebody. Good morning, family. I'm going to share a word real quick from Luke chapter 12. So you might want to jump on that real fast. Come on, anybody here know that Lord's love is forever? Isn't that good? Man, we live in a culture, I think more than ever, man, people need to be reminded about how good Jesus is. So, come on, somebody type that in. Jesus is good. God is good. I'm excited that I'm saved. If you have questions, I like to take them. Grab your coffee, take a picture of what you're drinking today. Thank y'all for this pastor mug. I'm checking, seeing who's on here and checking to see what questions might come in. We're going to start in just a moment. Come on. So we can stand and fight against the enemy. The weapons may form, but won't succeed. We already declare the victory. Redeemed of the Lord, tell the stories. By His grace, we are walking testimonies. For thine is the kingdom and the glory. And we'll praise you, Lord, forever, because you're holy. The King, so that we can stand and fight against the enemy. The weapons may form, but won't succeed. We already declare the victory. Redeemed of the Lord, tell the stories. By His grace, we are walking testimonies. For thine is the kingdom and the glory. Whew, that's a good word, y'all. Good morning, good morning. We already declared the victory. So glad y'all are with me today. Miss y'all. We back in the building in a week. Woo, I'm excited about it. So, Let me just drop this nugget on you real quick. Lord, put this thing in my spirit. Dive, survive, or thrive. So literally, I was thinking about what I was going to say in Coffee Chat today, and Lord was like, tell him, 3 choices in this season. We will thrive through this. You will take a dive and never be as good as you used to be, or you'll just survive and just be what you've always been. I am declaring at Word Tabernacle, we will keep thriving. We are thriving. Our members are thriving. And that's where the Lord has me. That's what I want to hang out for just a moment. You know, remember in 1 Chronicles chapter 12, it talks about the sons of Issachar. You know, it's one of my favorite passages of scripture, and how they were men who understood their times and what Israel ought to do. Remember that? Well, I want to bring you kind of up to speed from a New Testament perspective of that, because Jesus speaks really harshly to his generation. I mean, harsh. I was reading it like, whoo, really? In Luke chapter 12, verse 54, and literally the pericope of Luke chapter 12, verse 54, the pericope literally says, interpreting the time. Interpreting the time. He also said to the crowds, when you see a cloud rising in the west, you say at once, a shower is coming. And so it happens. When you say the south wind is blowing, when you see the south wind blowing, you say there will be scorching heat. And it happens. You hypocrites, you know how to interpret the appearance of the earth and sky, but why do you not know how to interpret the present time? Wow. Now, we have apps to help us with this, right? So we can check our app and know if it's going to rain, snow, or whatever. And unfortunately, we can't check an app to let us know what's going on spiritually, or check an app to know what's going on in terms of our culture. I am telling you, family, there's a shift. And we should be excited about the shift. There is a shift spiritually. We're going to talk about that as it relates to Word Tabernacle Church. There's a shift culturally. We see elements of that all around us every day. There's a shift politically. And so a level of engagement is going to be required of us like never before. There's a shift socially in terms of our bases, our friends, our circles. And grab this, there is a shift economically. You know, I was sharing with someone yesterday. I'm trying to think what the context of it was now. Oh, we were talking, putting chairs. We got new chairs in the sanctuary, y'all. 500 of our chairs came in. So we're resetting the sanctuary to accommodate the additional seating. We had ordered these 6 months ago, but because of supply chain logistics challenges, they just got here yesterday morning. So if you have some men out there, brothers, at 9 o'clock this morning, as soon as we get off Coffee Chat, why don't you meet us at the church? And we're going to be setting up the sanctuary, putting chairs back in place. I'm sorry for y'all who have already picked your seat. That's gone because we are reconfiguring the room for our final setup. We still have more chairs to order in the future, but budget wouldn't let us do that. So we're going to go with what we have. But we do have an additional 500 seats now. So we're almost going to be at full capacity in terms of what we can seat in CPAL. For those of you that are new, that's Word Tabernacle language for Center for Performing Arts and Worship, CPAW. Just like we have DPAC or PNC Arena, we have a CPAL here in Rocky Mount. And that's what that stands for. So, where God has me is saying to the congregation, family, let's not be at all discouraged where we are. Let's be encouraged. Let's recognize that God has us living in this present generation. You remember the testimony is given about King David when he died, and said he died at old age and after he had served his generation. Let it be said that you and I will be people that will serve our present generation. But in order to do that, we have to be wise, right? We have to be aware. We have to be woke. We have to be mindful of what's going on spiritually and what's going on culturally. And we have to have the ability to respond to it as a ministry and as believers. And so let me share some things about what's going to happen. And I want to debunk something. What I want to debunk here is for us to recognize that when you're in a shift, and I taught sermon circle, Trishana invited me to a sermon circle group with some ministers last Sunday as a matter of fact, and I taught about adaptive leadership. I'm going to be teaching on adaptive leadership to all of you. I've taught it to the staff and some of the leaders, but I've really not taught it to the congregation, and I think it's something that we need to be mindful of. And so I was talking on that call and about adaptive leadership, and one of the things that we have to recognize, two things I want you to be mindful of. Number one, it's an iterative process. And what I mean by an iterative process is that it's going to be trial and error. So some things you will try, it won't work. And then you try something else, and then you try something else until it works. Somebody type that in, it's going to work, right? You're going to get there. Like eventually what you're going to do is going to work. But I can't be weary in my well-doing. I can't give up, and I can't allow myself to be frustrated and disheartened and cast down, right? And so I've got to keep, so in this season we're in, going back to Jesus saying, how can you not interpret the present time? Somebody say interpret the present time. That's what we're doing. We're interpreting the present time. Like this is what God has challenged us to do. Well, as we interpret the present time, we have to recognize that it's an iterative process and things will be trial and error. But the other thing that we have to recognize is that because we are in a moment of interpreting our present time, what used to work is not going to work. I want to say that again. What used to work is not going to work again. As a matter of fact, let's be really clear. Word Tabernacle is a little bit of an outlier with this reality. But before the pandemic, churches were on a significant decline in the United States. So most churches already were doing stuff that stopped working. And then many of us think we're going to return to a pre-pandemic Word Tabernacle church. That church no longer exists. We are, in essence, a brand new ministry. We are planting now with thousands of people. This is our moment to get in. As a matter of fact, tomorrow when I preach, I'll be preaching on board and ready to go. Where we have to really make up in our mind, hey, the train is about to take off. Am I on it or not? The plane is about to get off the runway. I'm either on it or I'm not. And so I'm challenging us to say, hey, Pastor, I'm on board, right? I'm ready to go. And so we've got to recognize that there are things that we used to do that we will not do again. And there are people that we used to do it with that we may not do with again. Because we are in a season of adaptive leadership. There will be a percentage of our members who haven't left the church, they just left the building. And they will remain on our, what I'm calling these days, the East Cities campus. And so they'll remain on the East Cities campus. So they say, hey, where do you worship Word Tabernacle? Where do you attend Word Tabernacle? Well, I'm in Atlanta. I'm a part of the East City campus. So there are going to be some people who have not left the church, a lot of people, but have left the building, right? So this is our task as your pastor trying to interpret the time we're in. The task is, how do we bring about a cohesion, a uniformity, a unity, a camaraderie, a relationship between those who have been with us for 16 years and those who've been here 16 hours and everyone in between? How do we embrace the tradition that we should keep? And then how do we respond courageously enough to alter things and make a shift? That's the season we're in. Let me ask you to do something, please, as your pastor. Whether it is your church or another church, whether it is a company, whether it is a small business or a family, let us not be hypercritical of the decisions people make in this season. We are really in a moment of time that we've never operated in before. And it's going to take, we're going to have to figure it out. And you're going to look up and it's going to be a lot new, right? You're going to see greeters you've never seen before. You're going to see people sitting in the seats you've never seen before. And now we're going to have to find, it's like, let me tell you what it's like. You ever gone to that family reunion and you meet that cousin that you've never met before? It's like second or third cousin, or it could be even a first cousin you never met before. Y'all get to the family reunion, you realize your family. Well, once you realize your family, you have to figure that relationship out. We have a lot of new cousins, y'all. We have a lot of new brothers and sisters that we are meeting, and we've got to learn how to be family together. It's going to take everyone's work. So we don't want to be critical of our ministry leaders, of me as your pastor. And I don't mean, when I say not critical, I'm not suggesting that you don't give feedback. You should give feedback. But we should be really cautious to recognize that we've not been in this place before, okay? So how will we live this moment out? Well, first of all, we need to make up in our mind, for those that are coming back to the building, we need to come on back to the building. Starting a week from tomorrow, which is the first Sunday in February, we will be back in both Rocky Mount campus and East City campus. We'll be on both campuses together. We will be a little more slow moving to return to the Tarboro campus. Recognize that that is a plant. And when you are planting, you have iterations. Remember, I talked about iterations, like the process to be able to do a formal final launch. And so, you do your preview launch, and then you do an evaluation period. And you say, okay, what did I learn? What are we learning about the community? And you go through that process. You make whatever adjustments you need to make so that you can do your permanent launch. So we did our preview launch at Tarboro. We're now going through the understanding of all the ministries that are needed. And we will spend the next just few months solidifying all of that so that on Easter Sunday, we're ready for our permanent launch. And that'll probably be at 11:15 in the morning. And so, good place there. And I'm going to speak to our 4 campuses, not 3. I'm going to speak to our 4 campuses in a minute. So it's time to come back to the building, and it's time to embrace both the Rocky Mount campus and the East City campus. And so there's some of you that are going to choose, hey, I really don't want to come back to the building, but I don't want to leave the church. And what I'll say to you is that's fine, but make sure you're getting on a Zoom to do your small groups. Make sure you're meeting with a group. Even if you don't come to the building for worship purposes, set up your small group meeting here. Set up your small group meeting, in one of the spaces here. It could be in the lobby. It could be in the classroom. It could be in the chapel. It could be in the banquet room. It could be in the dining hall, right? We have options. So I want to encourage you to make sure that we're doing all the things necessary to grow. So next Sunday, we'll return both E-Campus and Rocky Mount campus. But on Tuesday, that's this Tuesday, which is February 1st, we're back. It's been over 2 years since we've been back in the building at 7 p.m. on Tuesday. This Tuesday, we return. Now, because I recognize that we are in a season where we have to interpret the present time, I'm not assuming everything that we did before is going to work again. So I'm already making changes. And one of them is Bible study. So what will happen is at 12 noon, I will teach a subject on personal development. We have a lot of entrepreneurs in our church. We have a lot of young people who are making life choices. We have people that are trying to make financial decisions and decisions around their careers, really trying to figure out how they walk out this Christian walk. I want to spend time on Tuesdays just in those developmental areas, and I'll teach on a whole range. The last 3 weeks, I taught on developing intimacy with God. And so at 12 noon on Tuesday, and you can show up, right? You can be in the space. If you want to come 12 noon on Tuesday, I will be teaching at 12 noon on Tuesday. I will not be teaching Bible study. I will be teaching personal development. And so 12 noon on Tuesday, we'll teach. And then at 7 p.m., we're back here for our expository inductive Bible study. I'm going to be in the book of Philippians this year, or this first quarter, maybe second quarter as well. Probably second quarter as well, since we're going to start in the second month. So get ready to learn from Philippians, out of Philippians. I'll be teaching Philippians. Our format is going to be a little different, but not much. I'm going to Right at 7 o'clock sharp, I'm going to welcome all of you, and I'm going to pray, and I'm going to teach. And I'll probably teach until almost 8 o'clock. And then we'll just end with just a moment of worship, right? And if somebody wants to come to the altar and pray, they can do that. And we'll, take 15 minutes or so just in worship and thanksgiving to God as we leave the space. And that'll be our Tuesdays. And so Tuesdays will be different. Sundays will be different as well. When we come back, and if you have questions, would you go ahead and put them in the chat? I'll be happy to. Do you have any thoughts on the turmoil going on at City Hall? Okay, I'll address that in a moment. And again, that's part of interpreting the time. Sunday will be a little different as well. We are introducing, when we come back, a new order of worship. It's not drastically different, but it is a throwback to an order of worship we used to do in the beginning of our ministry. Pastor, why are you doing this? I'm doing it because we have to interpret the time. Things are not the same. Part of our challenge as a ministry is reteaching culture, right? The culture of Word Tabernacle, the culture of a Word Eye. It's difficult to do if the things that you did to develop the culture you're no longer doing. And so we're going to modify worship a little bit, praise and worship. Well, the band will start playing at 10 minutes before 9. Somebody will come up and do a call to worship right at 9 o'clock. There'll be a praise and worship time. Then someone will come up and lead us in prayer, right? We're going to just spend time praying as a church. After that prayer, the music department will come back with a selection. It'll probably be a hymn or anthem or spiritual, because we have to do a good job of embracing all 5 generations of our ministry and really embracing how we got to where we are. And then after that selection, somebody will come forward with welcome us to worship and any kind of emphasis we have. And then they'll introduce the Thrive moment. And then there'll be a sermonic selection, and then I'll preach. We're going to go back to reciting our affirmation. If you remember our affirmation, put your hand up in chat. Way in the beginning of ministry for years, I wrote an affirmation. We recited every Sunday. I am what God says I am. I have what God says I have. I can do what God, how many of y'all remember this? I can do what God says I can do. I'm ready to receive the word of God. I take authority over every hindrance. I set myself in agreement with God's plan for my life. When I leave this place, I'll never be the same. In Jesus' name, amen. So we're going to go back to reciting our affirmation. We're going to go back to welcoming one another. We won't be able to hug. We won't get there, but we can turn around and greet each other. When we do that, we'll be singing We Are Family and really reestablishing culture for all the new people. I think it's going to be really important, really significant. I think you're going to love it. I think God is going to be honored. I think people are going to continue to be saved. People are going to continue to grow. People are going to continue to come into the kingdom. And so that's going to be a shift, okay, in terms of worship when we come back. Not tomorrow, because we're on the East Cities campus tomorrow, but next Sunday when we return, okay? Everything is up in the air, guys, in the sense of how and when we do communion, how and when we do baptism, how and when we do new members class. I want us, the round tables. We're going to do all of it, but we have to recognize that God has us in a place to interpret the season we're in. We can't just sit back and assume it's business as usual. Having said that, I want to commit to you that we are fully committed to all of our campuses, and it's really 4 campuses. So let me share that with you. Really exciting announcement. Before I announce that, let me say again, starting at 9 o'clock, can I get 20 men to show up this morning real quick? Throw something on, brother. Come on over to the church, 9 a.m. Help us set these chairs up real quick. Do you have any thoughts on the turmoil going on at City Hall? Again, I think these are, do I have thoughts? Yeah, of course I have thoughts. I'm an elected official. I'm obviously in the public eye. My thoughts are that we have to focus as our congregation on being as cohesive as we can be. If we can be as cohesive as we can possibly be, fully unified in our serving, in our giving, in our worship, in our commitment, then I think we collectively have the power to influence things that go on politically, culturally, socially. We are living in a disruptive time, and we're living in a season of division. That was the word I was trying to find. Sometimes that division is political, sometimes it is racial, sometimes it is economics. We as the church have to find a way to build bridges and help people that are on extreme sides of places to come together. I believe that the turmoil going on in Rocky Mount is because of the potential of Rocky Mount. The growth fact, the ability for this city to grow and for this region to grow is significant. We have in North Carolina what is called Council of Governments. We live in the Upper Coastal Plain Council of Governments. That's like Nash, Edgecombe, Wilson, Halifax, Northampton County. There are 16 Council of Governments in North Carolina. That's how our state is divided. The Council of Government region we live in is the only one with a negative net migration in all of North Carolina. That means the other 15 out of 16 regions, all of them had more people coming into them than leaving them. We were the only one with people leaving, which means there is an opportunity here for growth. And because there's an opportunity for growth, you're going to get fighting and division. People don't fight when there's nothing to fight about. Now the fact that you have millions of dollars coming in from the federal government, you have millions of dollars coming in from the state, you have grant opportunities, you have a whole litany of opportunities here, everyone's going to begin fighting. And that's what I think we see happening. I think our challenge as Word Tabernacle Church is we have to remain cohesive. I shared an article with a few people recently about the closing of North Carolina Mutual Life Insurance Company this year. What was the country's largest African American life insurance company is closing right here in Durham, right in North Carolina. We have to recognize that we have to understand the times we're in financially. We have to understand the times that we're in culturally. We have to understand that when we give, when we pull our resources together, we are creating a cohesion and we are creating a security that would not normally exist, particularly for people of color. And so we have to begin looking at building businesses and buying franchises and establishing endowments. Think about it for a moment. You think about an HBCU versus a PWI. A PWI is a primary white institution, a school like UNC Chapel Hill or a school like Duke, right? And so think about what happens with HBCUs versus PWIs. PWIs have large endowments in the sometimes billions of dollars, certainly in the hundreds of millions, many times. Well, they can function, they can live on their endowment to a large degree if they had to. So when the economy recesses, when things change, there's a shift in the finances of our nation, they can survive. HBCUs don't have that level of endowment, that level of security. Well, the same is true for many African American churches compared to white churches. And this is why I think it is so important for us to look at new strategies. I want to create an endowment. I want to create, I don't want to keep giving scholarships out of our church budget every year. And you've heard me say this because that's eating our seed. I want to create an endowment. I want that money to go into an endowment that earns interest, and we have enough money in that endowment that the interest can then pay the scholarships, and we can give scholarships in perpetuity for the next several hundred years. So that's my feeling basically on that. Question from YouTube: will Noon Bible Study be online as well? Sorry, that question was from Facebook. So yes, thank you for your question. Everything will be online. So we are 100% in on our campuses, all 4 of them. So the E-Cities campus is fully functional. If there is a live event going on in the Rocky Mount campus where we have the ability to broadcast it, we will. So yes, at 12 noon, the personal development time will be online as well in the E-Cities campus. Would you identify, please, if you're not doing this, subscribe to our YouTube channel, subscribe to my personal YouTube channel, subscribe to Orthos, which is my podcast. Like us and follow us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter. Make sure if you are on platforms like that, you're following us on all of the platforms. It's really important. Let me say a word about that. So the I just lost my train of thought trying to talk and chew gum, y'all. Sorry about that. It'll come back. Man, it just fell out. So a question just came in. I'm shifting gears a little bit. A member has asked, was the email that was received from my campaign from me? Yes, I did launch my congressional campaign officially this week, Youre for Congress.com. And so there may be solicitation information going out. And that was not limited to Word Tabernacle in any way. We have a database of about 100,000 people, and they just rolled that out this week. And so if you're living in the 2nd Congressional District, are prone to voting, those kinds of things, you likely got an email or will be getting an email from my congressional account. Let me kind of keep moving because we have a lot of stuff to cover. So I've been saying 4 campuses, right? So let me say what that's about. I'm really excited for you and for us, proud of our congregation. I want to shout you out because the work is good, guys. The work is good. As you know, we purchased a campus, 66-acre campus on Westmount Drive. It's the very first thing that we did there was put a cemetery there. We now have, hundreds of people buried over there, and we're developing that out as we go. And my dream for that initially, we thought that would be our church campus in terms of where our building was, where we worshiped and all that. Obviously, that didn't happen because we were able to purchase a Home Depot building and do the work there. And we've not been able to really spend any energy developing it because our time and resources have been going towards this building, right? The Rocky Mount campus. Well, after 10 years of ownership, and after a process we started last year while we were building this out, yesterday, we got a commercial certificate of occupancy for our warehouse property on Westmount Drive. Y'all, that I can't begin to tell you how major that is. So the very first moment of fulfillment of the vision of the dream is happening. We're going to turn that into a recreation campus. My hope and dream is that we can eventually put housing there. I want to do senior citizen housing. I want to do some small subdivision over there, but we need wastewater infrastructure to do that, which is going to take time to do. I want to see a football field there, and a baseball field, and some tennis courts, and a putting green. But the first phase is done. We accomplished it while we were doing the building. To see it. So we have someone who's leasing it, an NBA players, his foundation. They're doing a business enterprise over there, Montrezl Harrell. The hardwoods are down. Basketball goals are up. We got the commercial certificate of occupancy yesterday. So we officially have a legitimate occupied. We actually have a Word Tabernacle gymnasium now. And it looks amazing. We'll post some pictures of the hardwoods. They look phenomenal. So really excited about the work they're going to do in their AAU program and some reach young people. I'm excited about Rise Up Sports and some other recreation happening in partnership with that. And we're going to work really hard to develop that out. We're going to need some grants so we can really use that as an environment where we use athletics, sports, recreation as a way of developing and empowering not just the next generation, but for those of us who are older as well. So the 4 campuses, so it's Rocky Mount. This is how I'm seeing it. It's Word Tabernacle Church, Rocky Mount, Tarboro, East City, and Impact Point. Those are the 4 campuses of Word Tabernacle Church. That is the infrastructure that you in your giving and your serving has created. And I want to commend you. I want to applaud you. I want to thank you for your faithfulness. I want to encourage you. I'm going to be preaching on the importance of giving, the importance of planting, and how that is an indicator in our level of righteousness, in our level of buy-in. I want to encourage you. I want to encourage you to be faithful in your giving. To that end, we are going to be introducing, I've got questions coming in, guys, so let me pause real quick. Do we have a financial advisor at church? Really need some help in that area tremendously. That's a great question. You're going to be hearing us talk a lot. So do we have a financial advisor? No. Do we have people who are members who do that kind of work? I'm sure we do. We have to then figure out a way of how we build out. And this is a project that's been started and stopped and started and restarted probably 10 times, where we actually have a Word Tabernacle Church business directory. We have to find a way to vet people, a way to indicate who those individuals are. I think now more than ever, we need to be spending our money with people that have the same philosophy of life, the same passions, the same interests as we do, and that we're not funding the oppression of our people or people that we're trying to reach. And I don't want to, with our ministry, liberate people, and then with our funding model, oppress people or hold them in bondage, right? So there has to be a collaborative effort around that. So know that we are working on that. Know that there's going to be discussion around finances. We are going to be offering a D-free course for the entire church around debt and deficit management and how we get out of debt. That's one of my goals for the church. That's my goal before I retire, is I want to be able to pass on a 100% debt-free church to the next pastor. And so you're going to hear me talking a lot about that, working to that end. Let's see. Will there be, John says, okay, great. Thank you, John. And y'all, please jump in. You know, John Hayes just said, hey, I'm coming to help at 9 o'clock. Please do. We need people back serving in every area. And we're going to need people, you know, serving, you know, basically we have other campuses now, right? So we need people on the East City campus. And we need people, you know, that can function as a host or as a greeter, that can reach out and call people, intercessors, people that are praying, people that are responding to notices and requests that you see on the East City campus. And so thank you for that for John. Okay, let's see. What's the name and artist of the song you played at the beginning? I think it's called, believe it or not, it's Kanye West. So I gave this as an assignment to our next generation choir. Excuse me. And I'm going to tell you exactly what the name is. I love the song, man. I play it every day. It's called Lord, You're Holy Ballin'. Lord, You're Holy Ballin'. I love it because it's so theologically sound. It's so doctrinally, scripturally solid. This is why I love it so much. So that's Kanye West, Lord, You're Holy Ballin'. Let me see, making sure I'm getting all these questions. I'm so excited for your engagement, y'all. Okay. This is from YouTube. Do we need to register or to attend church in February? You do not. We are asking that we remain masked. We would ask that if you are not vaccinated, to be really prayerful about worshiping on the East City campus. So if you're going to return, we would like for you to be vaccinated. And so, but we'll leave that to you, but we will ask that you wear a mask, please, okay? And we're going to try our best to stretch out. As I said, we're adding 500 chairs today. I actually personally put down about 40 or 50 yesterday myself. So we're going to add those chairs. So when you come back next Sunday, you'll be walking into a very new sanctuary, look even different than the one you left. And we'll be able to really stretch out. So I encourage you to do that. Sit in clusters with your family. But then when you come to sit, you know, try to distance yourself. We'll have enough seats in the room for you to be able to do that, because I recognize a lot of people will stay on the East City campus, okay? Okay, what else do I have? So really quick, I'm wrapping up. We talked about what worked before. It's not going to work again. So we've got to be adaptive. We've got to be flexible. We've got to be open to change. We're going to be introducing a new app and a new system. We are replacing our ACS system. We're replacing Church Life. Now that goes to show you how serious we are about making shifts and interpreting the time. Somebody type it in. When they say, what did Pastor talk about in Coffee Chat? He talked about interpreting the present time. Interpreting the present time. And so, you know, people die, man, because they're not interpreting the present time. You know, so we're interpreting the present time. And so we recognize, I mean, we've been with Church Life. We've only had 2 church databases in our history. This year, we will be 17 years old. Power Church was our very first one. And then I guess, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 years into our ministry, we went to ACS, which is our Church Life app. We're moving to a new system, a new platform. It's going to allow us to communicate in a new way with you. So it's going to be very important that once we introduce it and we share the links, that you get the app, okay? Because right now we're doing GroupMe, we're doing, these news feeds on social media, we're doing text messaging, we're doing all this kind of stuff. Everything is going to be right in your hand, right? And we're going to be able to do everything in one place. You'll be able to set up groups within our own platform, right on your phone, so that you can engage each other, communicate with each other. You don't have to be bombarded with the news feeds of Facebook and some of the other platforms. And so really are working hard to put our arms around the whole congregation, guys. So would you join me in being excited for everything that God is doing and for what he's using us to accomplish? Here's the question as I wrap up, and I'm going to pray for us. Here's the question. In this present time, will you dive? Means will you sink? Will you survive? Means I'll just be what I've always been and do what I've always done? Or will I thrive? Will I advance? Will I be promoted? Can God bless everything concerning me? I say, yes, he can. He can bless you spiritually. He can bless you in your career. He can bless you in your friendships. He can bless you in your family. He can bless you in your finances. He can bless you in your spiritual walk. He can bless every aspect of your life. And so that's what I'm believing God to do for us and through us and with us this season. Really excited. As you can hear, we are busy at work, and we are working so hard to make sure that we interpret the present time. So let me make sure there are no more questions, and then I'm going to pray with all of us. And so here we go. Will youth be in person or virtual on Tuesday? Youth will have both an in-person and a virtual option. So just like the regular our adults, so we'll set up a computer for those Zooming in, and then we have kids from Maryland, Greenville, and Zebulon every week. And so it'll be both. So yes, when you come back for Bible study, as we study the book of Philippians, it's time to bring your child back to Next Generation Ministries so they can get fully incorporated in the life of the church. nextgen.wordtab.net. We have brought on a new director for that division, C3, which is Childhood, College, and Career Success. Tristan Hunter, who's been with us for a very long time, an outstanding young educator, really doing good stuff in terms of his teaching ability, his curriculum development, just his level of engagement. I think he's going to prove to be a great asset. We didn't lose Heather. Heather has decided to remain on along with Minister Jackie Jenkins. So Minister Jackie Jenkins, Minister Heather Scriven will be our E-Cities campus ministers, and they will be responsible for hosting and a whole litany of development opportunities on our E-City campus. So really good stuff. Let me see what else. Whatever happened to members being able to pre-purchase cemetery plots? That is a great question. We have tasked Eric Spivey, our business manager, with the responsibility of making sure that process gets solidified. It gets brought back to us internally. I don't want to give you a date when it will be ready. What I can tell you is it is on the priority list, and we are working on it. And so we're working with our site engineers in terms of how we lay it out, how those deeds are actually given to families, how it's recorded in perpetuity. All of that we're working on. So if you just, and I'm reluctant to say be patient, because whoever asked the question, you've been patient. So thank you for being patient. I would just simply ask you to continue being patient. Know that it is on our priority list, and we're working to make sure that happens, okay? So thank you for that question. Let me see if I've gotten them all. This is the most questions I've ever gotten during a coffee chat, so I'm so excited for this. Let's see. Okay, thank you. Willie Austin says he's on the way to help. Shout out to you, man. Could I get 5 more men, 10 men, just to say, come on, Pastor, I'm coming over to the church. I'll move some chairs around real quick. I love y'all. I cannot wait to see you. So real quick, what's the vision of the church? Everyone thriving. What's the mission of the church? People empowering people and communities in all areas of life to the glory of God. How many campuses do we have? 4. We have a Rocky Mount campus, a Tarboro campus, an East City campus, and an Impact Point campus. And on the Impact Point campus, that's where our cemetery is. That's where our future potential development is. That's where our recreation will be. That's where our gymnasium is. So, guys, we're winning. God is giving us victory. We're putting on the full armor